Hey everybody, welcome back to another Jackson jet setting cruise video. Today we're checking out what it's like to sail on the Majestic Princess on a 7-night voyage down the Mexican Riviera. I cruised on her in March 2022. I spent the night at the LAX 4 Points, which wasn't all that great, wouldn't recommend, but we were really excited to get on board. So we headed to the Port of Los Angeles to check out the Majestic Princess. Vaccinations were required, as well as pre-cruise testing, just an antigen test, so nothing really too big of a deal there. Everything went fine, and we saw the ship in our view, as well as the USS Iowa, which is docked right next to the cruise port. You drop off your luggage with the porters and walk inside, clear some security, and then you check into your cruise and show your vaccinations again, as well as your testing. Took a little bit of time to get through this process when we arrived around 10:45 in the morning, but as an elite member I did have a small little lounge to hang out with the other elites on board, and we were cleared to go, and by about 11:30 we were walking on board the ship. If you're used to cruising to the Caribbean out of Florida and you expect a really pretty departure port out of Los Angeles, do not expect that. It's basically a container port in a really ugly part of LA, but you know what, the ship moves, so no big deal there. It'll be on its way shortly. Obviously, the benefit of boarding early is that you get started with your cruise vacation a little early. The staterooms are probably not going to be ready once you board the ship. They were ready around 1:30 p.m. when we were dining in the buffet, which we'll show you in a bit. But on board the Majestic Princess, you come through, I believe it was deck 7, into the main atrium here, which is just gorgeous and a great first look once you step on board. So you do have a choice between the buffet or the main dining room once you get on board. Obviously the main dining room will provide you with a little bit more service, but we were happy with the buffet on board and just grabbing a quick bite before heading to our stateroom when we heard the stateroom announcement. On board, everyone has a medallion with Princess Cruises, which is really cool. You can wear it around your neck or on your wrist, but it's basically like an Apple AirTag, and it opens your stateroom. It charges things to your room if you need to do that. Really fun, and works as well in the casino. So here's our balcony cabin, and pretty spacious, I would say, especially around the closet and the bathroom. I would say that Princess can be a little bit more formal than your Royal Caribbeans or your Carnivals, so having a lot of space for all of those jackets and dresses, etc., probably pretty helpful. Just a curtain there on the shower, no dedicated door, which I actually liked. Gives you a little bit more room in the shower. I'm a little broad-shouldered, so a little bit more room there is always helpful. Then traveling with my brother-in-law, so we had 2 twins that were separated there, and then as an elite member you get that mini bar setup, which is nice to have some free drinks to start the cruise off and last you a few days. Nice big flat screen TV, nice little working desk there, and then our balcony, which wasn't gigantic by any means and had a lovely view of a container ship in the Port of Los Angeles. One other nice thing is that the mini bar extends into our fridge, so we had some mixers, a few beers, some sparkling waters, and some regular waters here as well. Once we were done checking out the room, we started to explore the ship a little bit. If you want to see the entire ship from top to bottom, I do have a Majestic Princess cruise ship video located on my channel. I'll put the link down below in the show notes. One big thing on embarkation day is always sort of these spa promotions. They give you a tour of the spa, which I like to do, and just check out what the spa actually looks like. They always have raffles for, gift certificates for the spa or some spa discounts during your cruise. So if you're into that sort of thing, it's always worth trying out. You do have to be present to win. I've never seen something that was just a passive raffle that they did inform you later. So definitely worth checking that out and jumping in there and seeing if you win anything. By the time we were done exploring the ship a little bit, it was about time for sail away at 4 p.m. Even though this was in March, it was a little cold in Los Angeles. We were heading down to warmer Mexico, but it was in the high 60s. decent weather in terms of no cloud in the sky, which is great. But we did need these fancy little blankets to wear to stay a little bit warmer, which was nice that Princess provided that. And then we checked out the Elite Lounge, which is also available to suite guests, and they offer some discounted cocktails as well as some fancier appetizers than you might find on the main buffet. And by this time we were on our way down to our first stop of Puerto Vallarta, but we did have 2 big sea days in between. Decided to grab some dinner in the main dining room that night. Had some delicious options. I was pretty happy with the food choices in the main dining room. We didn't really have a dining package or anything like that, but we did try out some of the specialty restaurants during our voyage since it was 7 nights. But overall, pretty impressed with our first meal here. And then by the time you knew it, it was our first sea day. One thing I did like about Princess is that the main dining rooms were open for a lot of meals, so you could eat your meal for breakfast in the main dining room and have your waiters serve you there, or you could just head up to the buffet like we did pretty much every day. Lots and lots of options here, though it was not self-serve quite yet. Some cruise lines are switching to the self-serve option again as we move out of the pandemic, but overall I kind of like being served because 1, it does keep germs down, and 2, keeps the portions down a little bit for myself, so I can sort of prevent the cruise weight gain a little bit more, keep it at bay. So a great sea day here, beautiful views as we sail down the Baja of Mexico all the way to the mainland. Here's a look at that medallion. We also checked out the ramen place on board. So the Majestic Princess is pretty unique in that it was outfitted for an Asian market and sailed there for a while. So they did have an awesome ramen option near the pool deck. And then snap our fingers and boom, it was time for dinner. So a lot of eating on board, of course. This is a cruise. Love trying out all the options. But this was a pretty awesome steak here at dinner. And then a delicious kind of bananas Foster's type dish for dessert. Walking out there too on the pool deck, we saw the fountains that are kind of like Bellagio. They're all to different types of music, so check your Princess Patter for the schedule there. And then went to bed, and it was time for another sea day as we rounded the corner right past Cabo San Lucas out there in the distance. Lots of activities on board during sea days as well as port days, really. And so they had the bartender show, which was really fun. Lots and lots of tricks. They did this twice during our cruise and we didn't miss it. Also good if you want to try and get a free cocktail. They give out a lot of free cocktails at this thing, so definitely worth checking out. More activities that we played a lot of. Trivia, which was often in the Princess Live Theater, which is the onboard television studio. A lot of big events that go on here. Get a seat early as it does fill up and it's not gigantic by any means. They also had the free wine tasting for elite members, so tried that out. Wasn't too impressed with any of the wines, but hey, it's free. And as an elite member on formal nights, you get some fancy canapes sent to your room. Though we tried those out and then went down to the Bistro Sur Mer, which is the French restaurant. It's a specialty dining restaurant. Not a bad deal by any means, but the food was incredible. The service took way too long. I don't know what was going on with the kitchen that night, but over 2-hour meal. So it was delicious, but probably wouldn't repeat just because of the service. So, after that delicious meal, straight to bed. No casino, of course. Just kidding. And then we ended up in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So we did a cruise tour through the ship, which is something I don't normally do, but with COVID and the port changes, actually our whole itinerary got flipped around. Just would be a pain to deal with the onshore excursion folks. So we went with the ship. It was fine. We did a really cool excursion over to these zip lines that were across the bay. So we were on a boat, then a ATV from like the 1940s, and then a mule, and then we were zip lining all over the place. Super, super fun, and highly recommend if you're in Puerto Vallarta. Tons of wildlife here in Puerto Vallarta, and as an added bonus on the way back, we went through a pod of what I think are like 50 dolphins. So that was pretty magical, and you're very low to the water in these little dinghies that they had us in, really fast speedboat. So definitely a bonus and not guaranteed by any means, but definitely added to our day. And just like that, it was time to sail away from Puerto Vallarta and on to Mazatlan, Mexico, our next stop. So this cruise had 3 straight ports in a row with 2 sea days at the beginning and 1 sea day at the back end. I kind of like that schedule. It's nice to ease into a vacation. But then tonight we ate at the Crown Grill. So this is the standard steakhouse that's pretty famous on board every Princess ship. I thought that the food was fantastic and the service was really, really great, especially compared to the night before. So I would eat here every single time. Greatest steak I had on board for sure, as expected, it being a steakhouse. So in Mazatlan, we decided just to do our own tour. There's plenty to do around the port. It is an industrial port, so they do have to put you on some little carts to take you over to the main terminal, which is no big deal. Takes about a minute. And then you're off on your own or your own scheduled excursion. Most of the ship excursions I felt like were pretty overpriced for what you could do on your own. And we're pretty comfortable traveling in Mexico alone as just 2 guys. But we hiked to the very top of the lighthouse, which has an awesome glass bridge that goes, you can look straight down, and you have great views of all of Mazatlan on that side. Mazatlan was definitely a favorite port of mine this trip. I had never been there. Definitely a little bit more chill. It's still touristy, but a lot cheaper than Cabo for sure. And had a lot to do. And they had these cool little go-kart type taxis that would drive you around town, and they were pretty quick, and you just negotiated with the driver before you left on where you were trying to go and how much that would cost. But the main square here, very colonial style. I thought that was really cool. Lots of good shopping and colorful buildings as you walked over towards the ocean. And over at the ocean, nice beautiful walk with a cool pool out there. But then big famous part of Mazatlan and Acapulco just down the coast are these cliff divers. So we did watch the cliff divers who just work on tips. So if you have a few bucks, they'll have someone out there asking. So just be prepared if you're going to watch the cliff divers. And then from there, we took a boat over to Stone Island, which is really not an island. It's actually a peninsula, but really, really far to get to if you were to drive. This costs about $2 per person round trip. It's walking distance from the port. You don't need to do a whole ship excursion to get over to Stone Island for like $50 a person. You can just take the little boat there and you walk down the beach, find a nice place to either sit down and enjoy the sun or grab a margarita and some delicious Mexican food. That's what we did, and we had a great time. Lots and lots of vendors, though, so if that's something that really bugs you, maybe avoid Stone Island. And then sail away was beautiful as we sailed away to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. The most fun part about a cruise, of course, is getting back on board and having all the excellent service. So we were able to test out a few new places for snacks and dinner. They have Alfredo's, which is the pizza restaurant, which was really fantastic and included. If you did want a pizza delivered to your room, though, there was a charge for that. I thought that was pretty clever, but delicious pizza here on board. And then next, we woke up super early because our whole itinerary got switched around and we had to have a super early morning Cabo, which was a little annoying, but I did get a priority tender embarkation for being an elite member, so that's one benefit if you are a loyal Princess cruiser. And then some beautiful views as we took the lifeboat over to Cabo San Lucas. I originally sat down on the bottom, but didn't realize that there was some rooftop seating, so then sat up there and enjoyed my morning in Cabo. After some breakfast on Madonna Beach, shout out to the office, I headed back to the ship. Not much to do really in the morning. My scuba excursion that I was going to do got canceled since I was the only one on board to book it, which was a bummer. But hopefully your itinerary doesn't get switched around and you have the afternoon and evening as we originally did in Cabo. A lot more fun to do. Of course, there's bar hopping, there's whale watching, there's lots and lots of pretty things to do in Cabo. But this being our last stop, was happy to get back on board and enjoy one last sea day before arriving back in Los Angeles. One thing I will note too, as you sail away, if you do sail away during the day in Cabo, is do watch for whales. We were here during whale season. We saw tons and tons of whale excursions out there, big breaches from humpbacks and other types. So really, really cool and just gorgeous views as we left Cabo, which was really fun. this night was also the night for the most traveled cruiser party for loyal Captain Circle members. So did get to see the captain, and that was really cool. And then we had our formal night dinner in the main dining room, which was delicious. Some beef Wellington, some good escargot, there was some lobster. So lots and lots and lots of great options this evening. And if you want more than one plate in the main dining room, you can go for it. So we had a few. Next day we woke up, sea day. We were a little bored on what to do, so we went to the art auction, got some free champagne, which was fun. Tried to win the bags tournament in the main atrium and did not win. But loved hanging out in the atrium. It's beautiful on board this ship. Then we had one last dinner before going to bed and having to leave the ship around 9 a.m. the next morning. We just took our own bags, and that was super easy. If you're an elite guest, you do have your own lounge to wait in, and if you wait for your number to be called. But thanks a lot for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this.